My colleague Jessica Taneja joins us in the studio, and she's been tracking developments closely. Well, Jessica, thanks for being with us. Is there a timeline now for the hostages? Oh, is there a timeline for the hostage release? And how is the deal being phased?
Well, there is a timeline, Mark, but if you look at how contentious it has been for the last few days and how the negotiations have taken place, especially when it comes to hostages, we'll try and break down to make our viewers understand as to what timeline is being deliberated upon so far. But we're still, of course, waiting a ratification from the Israeli parliament, while the Security Cabinet has approved the ceasefire agreement, at least on the implementation of the first phase. On how it will go, well, of course, one will wait for that. But in the first phase, there will be 33 hostages released by Hamas, according to the draft also released by Hamas as well there, wherein we're expecting, in return, Israel would also release Palestinian prisoners, up to hundreds of them. And of course, the hesitancy and the reluctance to release those Palestinian prisoners, according to Israel, because of their crime records. But what has been agreed upon is that Israel would want to release Palestinian prisoners who were caught apparently nothing to do with the October 7 attacks. So that assessment is also going to factor in. But the release of hostages, of course, further we will see in the progress of the deal, how the 33 will be negotiated. Reports emerged that 3 Israeli civilian female would first be part of that, and also could include the American citizens and other nationalities. But so far, that is what has been agreed upon, and we'll wait for more details on the clarification of the deal and how it progresses further.
Certainly. And talking about that progress, will the ceasefire hold is what people are asking. What challenges does Netanyahu face? One would presume that he has problems back at home, and there's a new government taking office in the United States, and he's probably hoping to bank on Trump's support.
Yes, Mark. Interesting turn of events in the last few days. The same ceasefire deal that was on the table back in May by the Biden administration. A lot of people trying to understand what has changed since May to now. Well, the elections in the United States, to begin with, has of course changed the course of how negotiations have reached at a point which is just one day before the Trump presidency inauguration at the White House. So looking at that, and also perhaps the kind of pressure Benjamin Netanyahu faced during the Biden administration, many would say that the reason it was being dragged for that long would be Benjamin Netanyahu's own domestic troubles, especially within his fragile right-wing coalition. You saw with the National Security Minister, Ben Gvir, who would threatening to withdraw support of his party. And that is when you see Benjamin Netanyahu recently replace the foreign minister with Gideon Saar, who brought in his support for the coalition to be sustained for some time as the country needs political stability. But those reasons then didn't work. His own political limitations didn't work with Trump, because for Donald Trump, he would prioritize his presidency over Benjamin Netanyahu's political interests back home. And perhaps it's not just limited to credit war, but Trump's limitation of letting an endless war drag further. It's already been 470 days, so there was a lot in there to be achieved.
Indeed, we leave it there. Thank you very much, Jessica Taneja, for joining us on this particular story.